Local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Our guest is the City of Utica's Mayor, Rob Palmieri. We're going to be talking about a variety of issues. Lots of stuff going on in the city right now. But before we talk about any of that, welcome. Good to see you again.
Joe, great to see you once again.
Thank
You're looking wonderful.
Well, I don't know about that, but
you do.
Yeah, thank you. Lots of things going on in the city. City just an $18.1 or $2 million grant got announced. Senator Schumer made the announcement. I don't want to talk about that.
Sure.
But I'm just curious about something. I saw you on TV the other day. You were doing another one of your sweeps.
Right.
Neighborhood sweeps. Do you know how many of those you've done over the years?
Yeah, we're over 300 for the last 11 years. We're over 1,000 miles that we have. It's something that I started even before I was a mayor, and it gives the opportunity for the residents to be able to talk to a police chief, a fire chief, the codes commissioner, any department heads that are out there. That obviously very seldom people go to these meetings. So it gives the opportunity to bring City Hall out to the people, and it gives me the opportunity to find out what my department heads and my staff is doing within the city of Utica. If I'm going out there and I'm seeing codes problems or drug problems, how come we're not addressing it? How come I have to hear it from the residents? Or, sometimes it's all good things. They'll say, hey, Mayor, great job. I like the way the city's going. I appreciate it. You're building a rapport with the residents of our city. And the fact that they're so used to seeing us each and every year, it really builds that bridge of dialogue and communication that I think is vitally important to continue to build our city.
Speaking of bridges, that is what the money from the federal money, the 18 million plus, that was just announced by Charles Schumer. That's what that's going to be going for.
No,
correct?
that $18.2 million for Senator Schumer, and I got to say a shout out to him. Thank you very much, and I appreciate. He's always been an advocate for Utica, New York. He's got some roots. He's got some roots here. But we have a great relationship, and it's something that we spoke about over a year ago of all the great development we have in our great city with the redevelopment of our downtown, Bag Square, the Nexus Center, the hospital, Varick Street. It really is a great time for our city. But when you look at the North Genesee corridor, that needs some attention. It needs to be, kind of looked a little bit more like when you drive into our city. It's a little softer, a little cleaner. A little the mobility going into it. So this 18.2 will help with the bridges, road diet to a point. It will do the continuation what the state has done along 5S and along the areas of Broad Street. So it's that great dialogue we have, and we're very thankful the senator to kind of look at and advocate for the city of Utica. And on top of that, the $2 million which was allocated through Senator Schumer, that's to do the analysis and the study of the pedestrian bridge that will link the Nexus Center into the harbor, and that's something that we'll be developing over the next several years.
It seems like all that is, was this part of a master plan? Did it just happen? But you've got Harbor Point, you've got the Nexus Center, you've got the auditorium, you've got the bridge work, you've got the revitalized Bag Square area. It seems like it's all come together here.
Well, I think when you look at a puzzle, and you put all these pieces and you start seeing the beautiful picture that we have at this point. So the fact that we just announced last week parking underneath the John Street.
I wanted to ask you about that.
That area. That's linking the east side of Bag Square to the west side. And how do you do that? That will accommodate the walkability, the bikeability. And that brings the fact of all the new restaurants that are being created, the coffee shops, the Nexus Center, Bag Square, that area in there. People need to be able to walk and have a parking facility that's well lit, secured, and they feel safe at. And the fact that, again, that's the great working relationship we have with the state to be able to formulate an area that was really at one point just green space, now into a parking area that will accommodate 130 parking spaces that will be free for our great residents and the people who will be coming into our great city.
So for those who aren't familiar with where we're talking about this new parking, it's under the bridge.
It's under the bridge right across the street from the federal building. And again, if you look at the Union Station and you look at across the street where, again, we had a new developer just changed the commercial travelers into the new facility, the new engineering company in through there. It's linking everything together. You link that with what they did with 5S and the corridor coming down into Whitesboro Street. It's much softer, it's much quieter, it's accessible. These are all the pieces that you put together, and when you put these pieces to the puzzle together, you have a Picasso. Our Picasso is our great city.
You know what's interesting to me is that the city of Utica really got its start with the Mohawk River flowing through it, and then of course the Erie Canal flowing right across where Oriskany Boulevard is today. And then the city moved away from that, moved to the south.
Yes.
And now it's coming back
Right.
to that area.
Right. So it's a very exciting time. The harbor is being developed as we speak. We will be having an announcement, I hope, within the next month about one area, the 1933 building, which is a historic building that is replicated as their maintenance facility. It is now in the ownership of the city of Utica. We have a developer for that, and to the right of that, which is the other part of that, the harbor, to the right where the hotels are and back, roughly 15 acres, we have a developer that's going to be investing into that. So that area is exciting. It's exciting to see what's happening. The fact that the one level that I think we need to change is our exchange coming off the Thruway 31. That is in the works with DOT and the Thruway
How
Authority.
would you want to change
so
it?
Well, to be a little bit more user-friendly, it's kind of dangerous coming off into that, and that's in the works. And that's, I think, the final piece when you come off the Thruway, which the accessibility coming off the Thruway in the city of Utica is probably the easiest that you have throughout that whole corridor of the Thruway. You come along North Genesee Street, you have the ability to go right into, look at the harbor, look at Bag Square, look at our downtown, the hospital, Munson Williams, the Stanley. Then you come up to the Parkway, and then all of a sudden you take a left on Memorial Parkway, and you've got the beautiful parks that we have and our redevelopment of our parks. It really is, you're starting to see really the beauty of our great city. It's now being showcased. Again, I know you're going to ask me the question, but I'll probably jump into it. All this, the money that we had through our ARPA, putting it into our beautiful parks, that you're going to see with the Children's Museum now along the Parkway. You'll see the rec center in our development of our ski area, ice skating rink. We put money into the zoo, which is a gem. And then you'll look at the golf course, and we're putting money into the New Bertolini Clubhouse. You go a little bit farther to the north of that as we're going down Culver Ave. And then we have FT Proctor Park and TR Proctor Park.
Well, hang on to that thought, because we'll take a commercial
Sure.
break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about lots more. Many of the things that the mayor talked about, we'll ask him to expand on a little bit more. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Utica Mayor Robert Palmieri is our guest. We're talking about a lot of Utica issues, as you might imagine. And the mayor has been mayor since, if I recall my history correctly, elected in 2011.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And is term limited for 2013? 2023?
23.
2023?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that give you, and we're in 2022, of course, does that give you some pressure on saying, well, if I want to get this done, I better get going here. I better do this. Do you feel any pressure about any of that?
I'll be really, I've been passionate from day one and intense. My department heads understand. They believe in our vision. And so is this day any different than it was in 2012? Really not. I want to accomplish, I want to make this city shine the way it is shining. Everyone has opinions. The facts are the city is in such a much better site than we've ever been in years. I want to be able to continue that. I want to be able to showcase our great parks, the selling point of our city is our residents. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt that when you talk about the city of Utica, since we are so diverse, we're so welcoming, we're so giving, that is such an attribute that not every city has. And when developers come in here, and obviously they shop, they go around, they talk to people, they'll come back and say, I felt so comfortable here, I felt right at home. That's what you're looking for. That's why you want them to invest into a city, because they are now part of our great city.
You mentioned residents. How many residents do we have?
We're very blessed. We are one of the very few cities that didn't see a population decrease. We actually increased. We're roughly 65,400 people, which is an attribute of all the growth that we have going on.
A lot of times people don't understand how important population is. If your population shrinks and continues to shrink,
well, that's your tax base.
Yep.
That's your tax base. And what we're seeing at this point, we're seeing a lot of the millennials reinvesting into our city, whether through apartments, whether it be through the lofts or whatever it may be. They're enjoying the city, and they're seeing, I guess when you start capitalizing on people being retained, they see the same vision that everyone sees. They see growth. And your roots are here. The city of Utica has so much to offer to all with the Wolf Speed, all the development that's happening throughout our region. It's not just in the city of Utica. If you look at Herkimer County, if you look at what's happening in Rome, it's a great place to live, a great place to raise a family, a great place it's financially feasible, a lot to be proud about in our region.
One of the things that just continues to surprise me is the number of lofts loft apartments that are being built, and they keep getting built and keep getting built. And I thought, geez, at some point we're going to reach a point where they can't rent them anymore, but they keep building them.
Well, if you look at all the development that's happening throughout this area, and people like to have the walkability, and the only place you're going to really have that is in a downtown region. So there's a certain segment in a population out there that we haven't really got to the saturation point at this point. If you look at all of these lofts out there, they're all, they got a waiting list on some of them. And the key is where we're looking at our DRI, our downtown redevelopment investment, adding to the basis of making people feel comfortable and having a skate area in our downtown, your coffee, your eateries, Munson Weems, the Stanley, the walkability, as we talked about, going from East Bag Square to West Bag Square, making it very friendly. Once the hospital's up and running, it's going to be, our downtown is, as I remember it when I was young, was bustling. You had a lot of people walking the area. You're gonna start, you see that a little bit, you're gonna see even more of that as this develops.
I saw it the other night. I was coming in off the thruway, and it was a Sunday night, and there was a group of people walking on Genesee Street. I thought something had to be going on. Nothing was going on. They were just out.
Well, there's a lot of activity in our downtown, and it's only going to increase as the years move forward. And we want to make sure that we put all the right pieces together to keep this momentum going for not just the next couple years, for the next decades.
The Commercial Travelers Building, that's the first thing you see when you come in over the bridge from North Utica, and that big Commercial Traveler sign was up there for years. Not up there anymore because those are being turned into condos and
there's engineering.
Yeah, and the OD is gone in there, right?
Yes. So the key is that developer, and I'll just give you an example, has fallen in love with the city and what's happening in here. And he's got 3 to 4 other projects going on as we speak. He sees the success, he sees the future. And let's be quite frank, no developer is just going to invest just because they love it. They're getting a return on their investment. So it's an exciting time in our city, and it's only only going to get better once we redevelop some of our parks that we've been talking about for years and years and years.
I'm going to talk to you about the parks in just a second, but the Commercial Travelers Building, the OD has gone in there. They've gotten out of their building on Riscony Boulevard. The Sentinel is in another. Boy, I was at that opening. That's a beautiful building.
Beautiful building. And if you look at the Boston Place, if you looked at it, that shiny mirror that they had up, the Gaetanos have taken that out and they're repurposing that building. So I think you'll see exciting things along with the Boston Place, the Mayoral Building, Northland Building, some of these buildings that, need some refreshing. And the developers are excited about refreshing these great buildings that are iconic in the minds of the natives of Utica, New York.
Talking about an iconic building, the old McGrory Sauter Building on the corner of State and Columbia.
Yes.
Number 2 mill, I think it was.
Yes.
Way back in the day. What's going on there?
So that's the same developers that bought the Commercial Travelers buildings. And that's lofts. On the first floor, we made the announcement that Brooklyn Pickle, who was a staple in Syracuse, I was very fortunate to sit down with the owner, take him through the city, see the opportunities, and we parked in front of it, and I said, this is a spot, this is a destination that you want to be. He has a long-term lease. He will be opening up sometime in January. But that, in order to be successful, you have to have national companies, regional companies, and your local. And we're starting to see all of that. He's regionally, he's excited about coming into here. Varick Street, which is on to the west of that, is being repurposed, redeveloped. We see what's happening with the Beer Garden, with the FX mat. Again, every part of our city, there's reinvestment into our city.
Right across the street from the old McGrory Sauter, the number 2 mill that you're speaking of, is, it used to be called the Columbia. Tim Trent used to own it. It went through various owners. It's been abandoned.
Right.
It appears to be abandoned for a long time.
So what that's going to be, that's one of the city eminent domains that will be repurposed for MVHS. That will be the future expansion for the Wynn Hospital. So that's in litigation as we speak, and it's going through eminent domain. And with the repurposing of that, I'm sure there'll be demolition of that within the next year or so.
Okay, short break, right back. Mayor Robert Palmieri. And welcome back, everybody. Our guest is Utica Mayor Robert Palmieri. We're talking about a variety, all kinds of things seem to be happening all at once in Utica, including the parks. A lot of work going on in the park. FT, TR, Proctor Park. I always get them confused. Which one is which?
So TR Proctor Park would be our active park. That's when, if you drive by there, you'll see the basketball courts.
Little League.
You'll see the Sal Longo Field that we were so fortunate to work with Cal Ripken and Sal Longo, who, again, a Utica native who has made it because of his hard work and came back and donated some of the funds.
So that would be the park to the south?
Yes. And then you go to FT Proctor Park, and that's our passive park. If you go by there, you'll see a group of people always walking there. You see the lily pond and back. It's just a beautiful park, and what you'll be seeing is, as we're repurposing that, you'll start seeing a new pavilion and a men's and ladies' new restroom that will be right off the parking lot. So that's a new development that'll be happening there.
What I always was very impressed by was all the work that was done at that park, and I wasn't there to see it, I should quickly state, during the WPA.
Right.
All that stone, the stone steps, the stone restrooms, all that was very impressive.
That was an era where you had Buckley Pool being built. Addison Miller, and part of the ARPA funding that's exactly what we're doing, restoring the glamour, the beauty of our parks, doing things that, were only talked about because you never had the financials. So if we go to TR Proctor Park, which we said is our active park on Culver, we will have a dog park, we will have a splash pad, we will have a state-of-the-art new playground equipment, we'll have an inclusive Little League field that will be for not only Little League, but for the handicap. We will have a state-of-the-art skate park in that area. That's our active park. There's going to be millions of dollars that's going to be put into that. And again, that's to make sure that we hit all our cylinders. Certainly we want to retain our residents. We want people to come in from outside the area to be able to come in here and utilize our facilities and to have expendable money going to the restaurants, going to the bakeries in our great city. And if you go a little bit farther down, as I said with FT, we're going to be putting in a state-of-the-art new pavilion and a new state-of-the-art men's and women's room that will be equivalent to what you see at the South Park at the Roscoe Conklin Park.
Talk about the lily pond. You mentioned the lily pond.
So we're very blessed to work with the Conservancy and Phil Bean. They have done amazing work within our city. We're a partner. Phil Bean has come to us with a challenge to see if we could come up with some money for a path and to repurpose the lily pond. We're working with them and their fundraisers. So he's really focused on changing the image of that. And then on the other side, we have the Conservancy. When you look at along the medium of the parkway, we couldn't do it without the volunteers that we have at that point. So it is a great marriage. We're excited to work with both of them for the beautification of these iconic parks that are the Olmsted parks that are noted as an architectural gem throughout the nation.
And what's going on up at Roscoe Conklin Park? Of course, up there you've got the zoo.
So if you look at the rec center, one of the things that we have is a ski area within the city of Utica, which
hasn't been operating for a long time.
And so we're looking at how do we repurpose that? And it's not just during the winter months. How do I do something that will be able to bring people up there 12 months a year? So we're looking at putting an amphitheater on top, using the chairlifts, upgrading their chairlifts so we could have concerts up and through there so people could utilize it throughout 12 months out of the year. We're looking at putting in a new skating area that, as when I was young, I grew up on the parkway looking at the skating area, a disc park, a golf park up and through that area. Then you go up to the zoo. We furnished them with $2 million of this funding for their welcoming center. Again, they're an accredited zoo. You don't get that throughout. Working with the zoo is, again, a wonderful tourist attraction, along with NYPA, New York Power Authority, putting in that multi-million-dollar facility. Then if you go a little bit farther, our Bertolini, the Valley View, we're putting money into that too. Again, I don't think money's been put in that for over 30, 40 years to repurpose that. So when you look at the corridor, and so you come off the thruway, Joe, and you're seeing the harbor, Bag Square, the great amenities that we have on Genesee Street. You go up a little bit farther, you take a left-hand turn, you go onto the parkway, and you're going to be able to have a one-day event, two-day event along the parkway, Children's Museum, the ski area, the zoo, the golf course, our parks. Then you just come right back down Broad Street and you go to the harbor. It is an opportunity and a once in a lifetime that people of our city are going to be proud of our great city. I use slogans. We're moving up, we're Utica proud, and at the end of the day, I want to be the best little city in America, and all the work that's being put into it by our staff, all of our contractors, and at the end of the day, it couldn't be done without the success of our great residents of our great city.
Did I understand you, Mayor, correctly? There's going to be ice skating up there?
There's going to be ice skating once again on the parkway.
Would it be about where I remember as a kid skating up on the parkway?
So it won't be there. That's where the rec center is. We're looking at where it's going to be, and it's not going to be just a skating rink just for, and what do you do for it after? The point of it be repurposed during the months of spring and fall and summer. It'll be pickleball courts, which is a fast-growing sport within the region.
People see it every day. They drive by it, high traffic on Genesee Street, the Olbiston. What's going on there? The fence is up. I see the windows. There's pipes and hoses coming out.
Full speed ahead. Liberty, Randy Denton, they're doing a great job. That was a challenge for the city. We understood that, if we weren't able to capitalize on that last year, we would have lost that building forever. It was finding the right partner. Part of the ARPA money that we had went into that to be the bridge, to be able to have the financing, and that's going to be between a $65 and a $70 million project, which is going to anchor that part of Genesee Street that is so vitally important to the entrance in our downtown.
We've only got 30 seconds left, but you're term limited, so next year would be your final year.
That is correct.
And you're still a young man. Have you thought of anything about your future?
I tell you what, Joe, I love this area. I truly do. I think there's so much opportunity. To the dislike of my family and my wife, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I don't know where it's going to go, but I just have so much intensity and passion. We'll see what happens.
Well, when you figure it out, come back and tell us, will you please?
I certainly will.
Okay. That's going to do it for us this week. We thank the mayor for coming in. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget cnyhomepage.com. There's lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.